up, when we do slip up, forgiving ourselves, cutting ourselves slack. Now, you have such a wealth of tools in your toolkit for life, and every time I've met you, I just walk away so inspired, going, I just want to be a little bit more like Michelle. And I know that you're human, and I know that you mess up.
Absolutely.
Not that I've seen it, but I just know you must. And I know I certainly do. And it's what we do when we mess up, when we fail to be living, you know, truly true to the purpose and what it is that who it is we want to be in the world. And when we do make those mistakes, when we do act thoughtlessly, selfishly, cowardly, all of the things that we can all do because we're fallible, how do we pick ourselves up and then get back on track? And I'd love to know, how do you do that when you find yourself, you've just had a crummy day, you've been a bitch to your husband, and you haven't been present to your clients, and you've shouted at your kids, and you ate a big tub of ice cream or whatever it was that you did. You know, what do you tell yourself that gets you out of that space and back to being, this is the Michelle I want to be in the world. This is who I'm making a stand for. This is, you know, for me to live my purpose.
Yeah, it's a great question, because we all fail. I mean, failure is part of the human condition. And it's part of the human condition because it's how we learn. A big thing that made a massive difference in my life, again, drawing on that work of Carol Dweck's, was realising that failure was as much a part of the learning and growth process as getting it right was. In fact, to be honest, I think some of my best learnings in life have come from my failures more so than they come from my successes. And so when I'm having those moments when it's all going wrong and not the way I expected it, I try to sort of channel that quote from Thomas Edison, who said, "I didn't fail, I just found 10,000 ways the light bulb didn't work." And I imagine trying to show up 10,000 times and getting it wrong and realising I'm nowhere close to that, so I'm in good company, and just to keep moving forward. And so, you know, sometimes now I'll try and sort of, not like, you know, celebrate the failures, but to say, hey, you know what, I failed, but these are the things I'm learning from that, and I have the chance now to pick myself up and to try again. I can do it better. I know I can do it better. And so let me have another shot at it. I think the other piece is grace has been a big word for me over the last few years, and it's really that sense of self-compassion and forgiveness. And talking to ourselves like we would a best friend. You know, have you heard your best friend beating herself up the way that we often talk to ourselves? You'd never let her get away with it. You'd be like, mate, no, you know, you're
too hard on
these
yourself.
Wonderful things
You're
you've
so
been
hard on
doing,
yourself.
and you're just tired, and you're a bit run down, and he shouldn't have said that to you in the first place. You know,
damn it, it is his fault.
Exactly, and yet we don't do that for ourselves as readily. And so really just trying to hold myself with a bit more grace in those very human moments of failure. And the other one is Brené Brown's beautiful work around the power of vulnerability. I've actually learned sharing my failures is powerful not only for me, because it doesn't leave me locked away in that feeling of embarrassment or shame, but it's incredibly powerful for the other people around me. And so particularly with the kids at home, those moments are wonderful teaching moments. And I can say, you know what, Mummy got it wrong. Mummy shouldn't have shouted. Mummy should not have said that. But this is what I'm going to do to show up and do it differently next time.
I totally agree with that. Just that sharing. I mean, whether it's with our kids. I mean, my kids. You know, there's no question of, is Mum perfect or not?
They're clear.
And does Mum think she's perfect or not? No, we're all very clear on that one. But I think when we share authentically with others about our struggles. And there can be, sometimes there's a pressure that we feel to put out an image that, well, you know, I've got it all together, you know, sometimes I don't, but, you know, they're only, you know, one day a year, versus I'm struggling. I'm really struggling with this at the moment. You know, actually when you arrived today, I was sharing with you, I'm going through a difficult separation with a vendor, and it's hard, it's unpleasant, and they're being unreasonable, and I'm really struggling with that. And I think whether it's in how we, you know, running our lives or our relationships, you know, raising our kids, you know, dealing with people at work, when we do share openly and authentically and with vulnerability, it does allow other people to connect with us more deeply.
Absolutely. Well, and it creates a space for them to help us as well.
Yeah.
So one of the things, of course, that Brené Brown found in her work is, particularly for women, it's so often that sense of shame that causes us to shut parts of ourselves off from other people. And yet when we're feeling those sort of, that sense of fear or stress or anxiety about what's going wrong or how we've failed, what we know actually happens to our brain is it literally narrows our field of peripheral vision. So when we feel more positive emotions, we see about 75% of what's going on around us. When we're in neutral or negative emotions, we see about 15%.
Wow.
So we see less opportunity to try and solve whatever the failure might be. We also think less creatively, and we're less likely to collaborate and share what's happening with others. And so it's almost most in those moments of failure that we need to be reaching for other people and sharing where we're at so we can tap into their more hopefully positive brains and help us figure our way through that failure and out the other side of it.
Yeah, and I know when we do share, sometimes we need to lean on other people's optimism, you know, or their hope, because we're just running low on it ourselves, and be reminded about, this is what you're up to, I believe in you, it will be okay, hang in there. And people can't do that for us. They can't help us with that if we're not sharing, well, this is where I'm struggling.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, we all want to be respected, valued and appreciated. So actually when you share where it's not working with someone, you're giving them an incredible gift, because you're giving them a chance to support you back so that they can feel like there's value that they can give you and that you appreciate that in them. So just that simple act of being honest about what's really going on for you, rather than feeling you have to paint this kind of you know, fake smile onto the world that everything is good. It's not just good for you, but it's good for the people around you as well.
And to me, at the core of it, that's what raw courage is about. It's in those hard times, owning it, feeling to the core of it, and sharing it with people, because it's through that, like right through the raw heart of it, that's what we need, where we need to go to come out the other side of it. And it can be very vulnerable and can be painful, but better than that, than to just kind of bury it over and put a smile on our dial and pretend it's all fine when it's not.
Yeah, and I think the lesson keeps coming back if you do that as well. One of the things I've noticed in my life is that if I don't deal with things constructively as the failures are happening, I tend to find myself back in that same situation before I want to be there again. And we were talking before, I often think of my failures as kind of the gift I never asked for, but it's probably one of the greatest gifts that I'll ever get in different ways. So now when the failures come, I think, oh look, it's a gift I didn't ask for. But what can I do with this to make this a gift worth having?
Re-gift it and give it to someone else.
I don't know it works that way. I think it keeps coming around to you.
And I think that's where, you know, I was speaking with Justine Flynn from Thank You, and she was sharing, you know, the setbacks they had in launching Thank You. And I know to expect not to have these things is to set ourselves up for more suffering. Don't expect that you won't have hard times or you won't have those moments. In fact, they are part of the human experience.
Absolutely.
It's what you do with them, and to be compassionate with yourself, to forgive yourself, to share it with others, because a burden shared is a burden halved. And I think that's where together we can really support each other so much. And so Michelle, thank you for you are such a wealth of wisdom and knowledge and facts and figures and statistics. I love it. I love it. I really value it. I'm so grateful to you. But I'm hoping that as people have listened to our conversation today, they will have taken things from it, and when it comes to making changes in their own life, remembering within 48 hours. 48 hours. So if there's something that people got from it, just even one thing, just to really take action, get support, ask people to help support you in that, because that's where the magic happens.
Yeah, well, I think change starts in having the courage to actually show up and try. So, you know, whether you think of it as I'm just playing with this idea or sharing it with someone else and say, hey, let's try this together, but to just hold ourselves and the expectations we have for the outcomes just a little more lightly, so that we give ourselves the space and permission to see where things take us, and then often we amaze ourselves.
Exactly, and it gives us so much more freedom to be courageous. So I say, if you could trust yourself, whatever happened, you could handle it. what would you do? And the possibilities open up, just amplify from there.
Hugely.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure.